right, so at this point, you should be at where it says overview and vocabulary. It may be a little bit hard to see, but it's okay. And you're filling in the red and the black. So we're going to be learning about box plots. And so if yours isn't stapled, it's okay. I'll get it in a few minutes. Okay, I'll get it in a few minutes. You can just leave it and I'll get it.
No.
All right, so I'm going to begin. So when we look at a box plot, it looks something like this, and it's called like a Box and Whiskers plot. And so it doesn't tell us, right? It doesn't tell us the individual statistics, but what it does show us is the quartiles. What coin sounds like quartiles? Quarter, right? And so what it's doing is it's breaking up my data into quarters. So it looks like this. Each of these dots represents a quarter. So this is my top 25%. Here's 25%, 25%, and the bottom 25%. So like when we're looking at the top percentage of a class, right? I break up all of your GPAs, and I see who's the top 25%, who's the top 50%, the top 75%, and the top 100%. And so that's how your data, that's how we figure out where you fall in the class. And so we use box plots to basically just tell us the percentage, the 25%. And so the things that we need to find are the maximum right here, the highest one, the minimum, the lowest, the Q1, which we'll talk about in a second, which is quartile 1, or lower quartile, they tell. Quartile 3, which is the upper quartile, and your median. So some of these things you did learn to do by hand. Today we are learning how to do it by hand and how to do it on the calculator. Yes? Good question. The 2 is technically your median. So your median is technically your second quartile. And so it's because it's in increments. So it's your min to your Q1 to your median to your Q3, and then your Q3 to your maximum. So that's how they're broken up. And so I'm going to show you how to do it by hand first. Then I'm going to show you how to do it on the calculator. Because remember, half your milestone is no calculator, so you end your math testing is none of this calculator stuff. So you do need to know how to do it by hand. But I'm showing you how to do it on the calculator because we need to make sure we understand the quickest way to do it. So remember, this unit's important that if you're buying a calculator or you're borrowing it, you start bringing it here because we need to learn how to do it, and this unit's very big with the calculator. And so what you're going to do is you're going to box plots, and we're going to be starting with example 5. So you're going to where it says box plots, and we're starting with where it says example 5. So we're going where it says box plots, and we're on example 5. And so I'm going to show you how to do it by hand first, and then I'm going to show you how to do it using a calculator. So first thing we need to do with the points is get them in order from least to greatest. If we're using a calculator, you do not need to do this, but when you're doing it by hand, you do need to put them in order. So what's the smallest number there is? 13. And I'm going to cross it out as I do it. And then there's another 13. What's next? 23, and there's 2 of them. What's next? 24. 27. Try to keep it in one line, too. Try to write a little bit smaller. What's next? 30, and there's 2 of them. And there's 34 and 34. And then the last one's 55. So first thing we do is we put them all in order. Next thing we're going to be doing is finding our min and our max. So our min is the smallest number. So what is our min here? 13. And what is our max? 55. And so what you're going to do is you're putting a point at where 13 is, and you're putting a point at where 55 is. So those are going to basically be your whiskers. So your min and your max are usually your whiskers. Then to see the Q1 and Q3, we first have to find the median. And how we do this is we have to find the middle, right? And so I'm going to go 1 for 1 like this. So I'll go 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, and I get 6, 6. And usually it would be one number, but in this case, we have two numbers. And so what you need to do is either find the average, which is add them up and divide by 2, or find the middle. What's the middle of 27 and 27? 27, right? And so that would be your median. So your median is this 27 right there. So right here in the middle, I'm going to put median and put 27. And then where there's 27, you're going to draw a dot and then a line right there. That's going to be your middle of your box. Now, when you're finding your Q1 and Q3, if it was a single number that was in our line, we would break them off before and after it. But because see how this 27 is actually right here, I want to put them into two separate categories with equal numbers in each. So I actually just break them between our median. So you never include the median when you're doing separating them into two groups. So I just broke them off. Here's one group right here. And they should have an equal number of this what this one group has. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in that one. So we're breaking them up into two different groups. Yeah.
If there was only one number for the median, would you have to have it or for them to be equal?
Good question. So say, I'm going to erase this real quick. Say that, and I'm going to put it back in a second. Say that this 27 was the median, and it ended up being right in the middle. I would do before and after it to break into my even parts. And so you never include the median when you're breaking them up into the two groups. So if that was the case, but in this case, that's not the case.
So when you have one big.
Yeah, when you have one median, you don't include the median when you're finding your Q1 and Q3. And so now you do the exact same thing to find your Q1 and Q3. So I go 1, 1, 2, 2, up. There's 2 in the middle. So what would your Q1 be? 23. And so right here, your quartile 1 is 23. So I put a little dot on 23 and a line. And then we're going to find Q3. So we do the exact same thing. So you're just basically finding the median of each of these. 1, 1, 2, 2, up. What's the middle of 30 and 34? 32, right? Or you can add them up, divide by 2, and you'll still get that same answer. So your Q3 is 32. And so I put a line at 32, a dot, and then a line. Last thing you do is you turn this to a little box like that, and whiskers. And so that shows each of these. It doesn't mean more data is here, right? It just means each of these is 25% of the data. So here's 25%, here's 25%, 25%, and this would be 25%. So all it's doing is really break our data up into 25%. So like, there's different reasons we would use this. Like if I wanted to see the top 25% of people who make foul shots on the basketball team, I would take your statistics, and even though sometimes it won't look like this, that's what you're doing. So they're actually creating this box plot to figure out, okay, is Elijah in the top 25% of foul shooters? So when people are trying to recruit people for basketball, all they look at is statistics. They probably maybe see a few tapes and a few of this, but nothing shows what you do like statistics, right? Does this make sense? Yeah. Cool. All right, next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you the same exact thing, but now I'm going to show you using a calculator. So does everyone have this sheet right here? This purple sheet. So this is your calculator cheat sheet for today. I'm giving you a calculator cheat sheet every day. And so we're also going to be putting this in our survival.
And
Sure. And so I'm going to clear this. Does everybody have this down?
No.
Let me just show you how to put it on the calculator. I don't have this down. I'll give you mine. So we're going to be doing on a calculator. So what we're going to be doing is the first thing, and I literally screenshotted it on your calculator so that it looks like this. Right there, right? And so this is how we find all those statistics in your calculator. It's a quicker way than putting it in order and going through all that. The first thing you're going to press is stat. So the first thing on your calculator, and on there, make sure you put it so you have this calculator cheat sheet. First thing you're going to put is stat. And then you're going to click enter on edit. So you're going to click stat, and then you're clicking enter on the one that says edit. And so you should see something that looks like this step 2. No, it should, when you click stat, it should look like this. So click stat on your calculator. It's okay. So click stat on your calculator and edit, right? And most of you guys, the last class did this, should have things in here, right? Do you guys have things in here right here?
no.
If you don't, because you have your own calculator, click. If you do have them, there's a button that says DEL, delete. Delete, don't click it on L1, but delete the values that are in your L1. So if there's values in your L1, go through them and click, there's a DEL button next to your arrow. So next to your arrow that looks like that, it's yellow, it's a DEL button. Delete all the data in L1. So go through it and delete all the data in L1. Once you do that, put the data that we just had on our purple sheet. So the numbers were, I'll put them up again. The numbers were 23, 13, it's from your example 5. 23, you don't have to put them in order either. Don't put them in order, just so you can see. 13, 30, 27, 55, 24, 34, 27, 34. So it's right on example 5. You're typing those numbers right into your calculator.
All into L1.
All into L1. So type your values in L1. So you're typing all the numbers up here.
I don't handle L1.
That's why. Oh, it's my own.
Oh,
Yeah, click delete this, but it doesn't work.
I deleted L1.
Don't delete L1. So, don't delete L1. So, make sure you don't delete L1, delete the values in L1. So once you type in your numbers in L1, you're pressing stat again, and you're scrolling to calc. So press the sideways button to calc that looks like this, and you're clicking enter on that one. So once you do that, stat and then calc, and you're clicking enter on one, it's right on the purple sheet. And then make sure when you scroll down, it should say L1. So everyone where it says list, say L1. Just say list L1. And so you don't really need to do this. This is in case you didn't have L1. And then you're clicking calculate. And so when you're clicking calculate, so you're scrolling down, it looks something like this, where it says one var stats, and it says list. Make sure it says L1, and then it says frequent list. You don't need to put anything. And then it says calculate. Click on scroll to calculate, and click on it. Click enter on calculate. There you go. And you should see something that looks like something on my screen, not the same numbers. Yep. And so scroll down on that. Once you see it, it just looks something like this. Keep scrolling down. And you should see your minimum, your Q1, your median, your Q3, your max. And this also here is your mean, which will
So instead of this,
just copy what I had on. Yeah, copy what I have on my board because it looked a little different than the calculator I was looking at home. So it should look something like this, and you're just clicking enter on calculate. And so when you scroll down, you should see min, max, Q1, Q3, and you don't need to write it down because that we already did it. It's in your example 5. So that's how you do it on a calculator. Yeah. Kaylin, did you need to go first? Okay. The last thing we're going to learn is interquartile range. And it looks like this. And you're given that equation. When I say find the range of your data, what does that mean?
The maximum and minimum minus.
Yeah, your max minus your min. So what interquartile range means your Q3 minus your Q1. And so what is your Q3? Well, what's your Q3 on your calculator? 32 minus what's your Q1? 23, and you end up getting 9. So that would be considered your interquartile range. That's something that we use to figure out if there's outliers, which we're going to be working with next week, next class. I'm just showing. That's it. So the last thing we're going to ask you today is interquartile range, and so that just means Q3 minus Q1. You're just subtracting them in your head. So when you scroll down, you see Q3, Q1, and then you're subtracting them. And it's called your interquartile range. Cool. So I'm going to give you a few minutes. What your guys are going to do is the bottom 2 examples. I don't care if you use a calculator. If you want to do it by hand, it's already in order. So you're trying those 2 on your own, and then we're going to get to the budgeting project deliverable. So you can probably guess what we're going to be doing. But for right now, you're doing these 2 on your own. I'll come around and stamp. So, what we're going to be doing, I need all eyes up here. Just look up where you are. So, at this point, up here, because this is your deliverable. So every day, instead of like a mini quiz, you have a deliverable. And so what you're going to be doing is we're going to be doing the day 1 of your deliverable. So you should have all, listen up. Even if you don't have it, you can do it in a minute. What you're doing is you should have all the salaries up here. You don't need to organize them. If you don't need to organize them if you're planning on doing it in the calculator. So what you're going to be doing, you're typing your values into L1, or you're doing it by hand, and you're getting me these 6 different things and creating a box plot. Now, a lot of people are having trouble with the box plot. First of all, things to think about. All of your salaries, hopefully all of your salaries should be in thousands, right?
Yeah.
And so I would at the bottom, so you're not writing a million zeros right here, right?
You just put K?
Salary in thousands.
Okay.
So right here I'd write salaries in thousands. And so the lowest salary, looking at your list, even if you don't have everybody's or somebody who does, what's the lowest salary you guys have?
34, 36.
So around 34,000 is what I hear, correct?
34,000.
So I would start this at
36.
I would start this at 30 then. And what's the highest you guys have?
462.
462.
Morgan.
So that's a big range, right?
No,
From
30 to 462.
So from 430 to 400, 1 second, 62, I put it like 450.
Oh no, 450.
And so we need to figure out what are we going to go by? What are we going to go by so that we can include most of our data? I would maybe go by, I would go by 50s. So like start at 30, and then what's 30 plus 50? 80. What's 80 plus 50? 130. And then keep going. 180 should go like this.
Well, our
230
highest is 460, so can we do it by 30s then? Since it makes it easy.
Sure. You just want to make sure you're able to fit everything. And so however you want to get it, make sure this will probably end up getting 430. And so you're just going to keep going until you can get to 450 or 430. So however you want it.
Why would it go to 430 and the highest is 460?
Because you're going to probably put it a little bit after that. It's an outlier. So we'll learn about outliers next class. But if there's one that's just way more than everything else, you don't need to, you can just put it a little bit past that 430. So I would go by, make sure you leave room and go by 30s or however you want to go, or 50s or however you want to go by. So make sure this deliverable you guys are handing in each day. So there's no like making this up or anything, because I want to see what you're doing in class and you're handing it in so that we don't lose it. Because at the end, so what you've been doing, I've been keeping your budgeting projects, and after your milestone, we're putting a big project together. So we're just going to be putting together what we already did. So the more you do now, and make sure you remember from the budgeting packet, it was a trickle down back there. I'm talking. It was a trickle down effect, right? Like if you didn't get one thing and you didn't finish it, then it affected the next thing and the next thing, and you were behind for the entire project. So the rest of class, all you're doing is you're doing this deliverable, and then I'm going to give you time. I'll put up real time, and your IXL homeworks are on your calendar. And so your IXL homeworks are N5 and KK3, which one has to do with quartiles and one has to do with box plots. And so remember, you only have to get to an 80%. If you get higher, cool, I'll put that in, but I'm only requiring you to do an 80%.
If we get to 80, is that going to be great?
Like 80 out of 80. It will be out of 80, yeah. So right now, what I need to see done is you guys are finishing up your deliverable for today. So you're creating your box plot, you're filling this in, and handing that to me. And then I'm giving you time to work on your IXL assignments. Or I have your practice worksheet, so maybe if you want to practice and get those stamps, or if you want to bring that home instead and do that at home, you can. It's over there. We didn't get to it last class, but if you want it, you can get it. And the answer key's online also. So project deliverable, IXL practice for your practice worksheet, and then that's it. We don't have a mini quiz because we don't have that until on the calendar. The checkpoint assessment is on next Monday. Everyone understand what we're doing? Give me a thumbs up if you get what we're doing. Awesome. Let's get started. Let's hand this in.